Welcome back, folks, from your break for all of our schools. And I wonder, it's not a huge group today, so maybe we could just quickly go around and give introductions of who we are, just because this project is still sort of new and we've got folks who are coming and going all the time. And so just to orient everybody to who we all are. So I'll start. I'm Mariana Donnelly. I am at the Department of Mental Health, and I coordinate school mental health. So that means I'm helping to oversee the Project Aware grant. And we are in the process of hiring a full-time coordinator. And so once that person is here, I will oversee that coordinator as well. And so I will call on Tracy.
Good morning, Tracy Watterson, Agency of Education, Assistant Director for Student Support Services Division and the Program Manager for our Vermont MTSS team. And I will be supervising our new co-coordinator for Project Aware when they're hired, hopefully in the next week or two.
Great, thanks, Tracy. And then maybe the rest of our AOE folks. Nancy, would you like to jump in?
Hi, Nancy Helen, and also on the Vermont MTSS team.
And Tom, thanks, Nancy.
Morning, Tom Ferris, and I'm also a member of the Vermont MTSS team at the Agency of Education.
Great, and then MJ.
Good morning, MJ Jared, she, her pronouns, on the VT MTSS team as well.
Thanks. Anybody that I missed from the AOE folks? I don't think so. All right, how about our best team?
Good morning, everyone. Great to see all of you. Cassandra Townsend, co-director of the BEST project with my colleague Amy. Very excited to be working with all of you, and I'll pass it along to Amy.
Hi, Amy Wheeler-Sutton, co-director with Cassandra, and I'll pass it along to Sherry.
Hi, I'm Sherry Schoenberg, and I'm part of the UVM group supporting the Barre district and helping with the project as well.
And so I guess I'll go. I'm Kim Asom. I also am a part of the BEST team and supporting CCSU in this iteration of the grant and other support to the project as asked for or needed.
And then we'll have Ken, who couldn't be here today, is that right? And he will be supporting Southwest Vermont, I believe.
Yeah. And also UCS, and then Kim will be supporting NKHS as well. And then Sherry will be, in addition to Barre Unified School District, will be supporting Washington County Mental Health. So.
Perfect.
And then
Thanks,
Rebecca
guys.
is away, so she's also one of our TAs.
Yeah, Rebecca Lawlier will also be supporting Barre with Sherry and Washington County Mental Health.
Great, thank you. And now let's hear from our LEAs and our DAs. Mark, you probably just hopped on, but I'm gonna put you in the hot seat real quick to introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great, hi, I'm Mark Tucker. I'm the superintendent for CCSU.
Great, thanks, Mark. Lisa, you're next on my screen.
Hi, everybody. Lisa Peralt, and I'm the business manager at the Barre Unified Union School District.
Thanks, Lisa. Des.
Hi, everyone. I'm Des Hertz. I'm the curriculum director at Caledonia Central Supervisory Union. I will be stepping out at around 11:30 and apologize.
That is fine. That's probably when we get to the Q&A section, Des. Lindsay.
Lindsay Heller. I am the coordinator at the SVSU, Southwest Vermont.
Thanks, Lindsay. Danielle?
Hi, I'm Danielle Mitchell. I'm the Children's Director out of Washington County Mental Health Services.
Thanks, Danielle. Rebecca?
Hi, my name is Rebecca Beruzzi. I work for the Barre School District. I'm the community liaison.
Thanks, Rebecca. And then Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Fredericks. I'm the curriculum director for Barre Unified Union.
Great, thanks everyone. So today we're gonna start our
Mariana, may I interrupt
introductions.
for a minute? We
Yeah.
do have a few more people to be introduced.
Yeah.
We do.
So
That's all I
I'll
can
be
see on
three
my
or four.
screen. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Noreen Shapiro Berry. I am the School-Based Services Director for Northeast Kingdom Human Services, so we'll be working with CCSU. Thank you.
Thanks, Noreen. Are there others that I can't see on my screen? Look, Laurel's there.
Hi, I'm Bob
Yeah.
Wobenhorst. I'm the clinical manager for school-based services at United Counseling Services, and my mental health coordinator will start on Monday.
Yay!
Good.
Very exciting. Thanks, Bob.
I see both Laurel and I'm not sure if Lisa introduced herself.
I think Lisa did. I'm Laurel Omland. I'm the director of the Child Adolescent Family Unit at the Department of Mental Health. And if you click on the people little tab up top, it'll give you everybody, so you can see who we've missed.
I think
thanks.
Allie. We haven't heard from Allie yet.
Hi, I'm Allie Monahan. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Services for CCSU.
Thanks, Allie. Anybody else not get to introduce themselves? I was going based on the pictures, and now the list of names is really going to mess me up. I think that might be everybody. Great. So today we were planning to start our introduction of some of the organizations that are supporting us in Project Aware. And we were going to start with the BEST team, who is providing us with technical assistance, and let them sort of describe to you all what that technical assistance role will look like. And then we have, there's 5 more organizations outside of just the evaluators as well who are supporting this project. And so for the next few office hours, we're going to have a couple of them at a time introduce themselves to you all and present about their organization and the role that they'll play in Project Aware. So with that, I'm going to let Best kick it off.
All right. Thanks, Mariana. I did able to put the link to our presentation today into the chat. So it's a Google Doc, knowing that many of you all use those being in schools. And so hopefully you have access to that. If not, my colleagues here will help. I was also hoping, Mariana, to share my screen if that's okay with folks. So I'm going to attempt to do that. Yeah. Let's see if I can just do the window. Okay. Getting used to, so you're all able to see that if I do slideshow. Okay. How's it looking? Some thumbs up. Great. I'm on 2 screens, so I'm able to see all of you wonderful folks as well as my other computer. So as Mariana mentioned, absolutely, we are the BEST project at the University of Vermont. Very excited to be involved with Project Aware. We were involved in the previous iteration of Project Aware as well. So we've learned quite a bit, and we're excited to also collaborate with all of you on this journey together, and looking forward to really cross-pollination and learning from you as well. And so what we thought we would do for our time today, we don't have a huge presentation. It'll be relatively short. And again, it's really at the 36,000 foot view, but we wanted to leave lots of time for any Q&A or any questions or comments that you may have. I know you've seen us before. We've been attending to some of your meetings, but really our thought for our time together this morning is just talk a little bit about our TA support, officially introduce you more formally to our TAs, talk about the journey and potential next steps that we'll be embarking on together, and as I mentioned, really round out our time this morning with some Q&A and any discussions that you folks want to discuss. So technical assistance, we talk a lot about technical assistance with the BEST project. Our primary work with schools across the state has been to provide technical assistance and coaching and professional learning, really to enhance the implementation of a variety of initiatives and really that are really focused on enhancing the social, emotional, behavioral well-being of all of our kiddos in Vermont, including our staff and our families and communities. So that's really the work that we do. And so it really aligns well with Project Aware, building those bridges, making those connections. And we do this within our wonderful Vermont system of a Vermont MTSS. So our multi-tiered system of support. And so that is a tattoo that we probably all have or will get in the near future because it's a great organizer for how we think creatively and efficiently and effectively, and how are we providing support to our students, not just all of our kiddos, but really our students who are needing targeted level or intensive levels of support. How are we really engaging in that mental health collaboration and connection? And so that's really the work that we're going to be doing with all of you and having you guide the work through your plans. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But really part of our TA specific to Project Aware is really thinking about helping you all develop a plan that really matches to Project Aware resources and goals, as well as your current goals that you're developing through your Safe and Healthy Schools. So again, helping to support you, have you drive much of the TA support. Our TAs are wonderful at prompting questions. We have a lot of guiding questions. We may not have all the answers. We certainly know where to go or who to ask for the answers, but we'll certainly be working together as we do this. But again, just for visual, for those of you who are visual, you've seen these folks before, many of you have, and if you're new to this, these are our current Project Aware technical assistance providers. We have Ken Cranberg. As we mentioned, he'll be working with SVSU and UCS. We have Kim. Again, Kim will be at CCSU and NKHS. This is acronym soup here. And Rebecca will also be supporting with Sherry, Barry, as well as Washington County Mental Health. And so they have a wealth of experience, have been doing this work for a very long time, have been steeped in MTSS, and certainly are expert in mental health and social emotional learning for kiddos. So excited to have them part of this. So a little bit of your journey, and I'll just start off, and then I'm going to kick it over to Kim and Sherry. Feel free to jump in, Amy, as well. But where many of you are right now in terms of the launch or the beginning of your journey is congratulations, you've committed to this work. It takes a lot to think about and getting the resources to say, this is what we value and this is what we want to do to improve the students and our families and our communities. And so you all have already done that, which is fabulous. You've also begun and are in the process of, and many of you are on the path towards completion, really that comprehensive needs assessment process. Again, this has been such a wonderful collaboration with Department of Mental Health and the AOE in terms of thinking about how are we working together and working smarter, not harder, and aligning sort of the current expectations that are expected of supervisory unions and districts in Vermont and this project. So there's been a really amazing collaboration between the two that I've witnessed, and I'm just excited about that. So part of that is thinking about that comprehensive needs assessment process to then really develop those continuous improvement plans. And out of that, really being thoughtful and intentional of developing your Safe and Healthy Schools goal so that it's also the goal for your Project Aware work. Right. And it's not just limited to that. However, we can certainly expand, but it's really exciting that those two really are being able to be dovetailed together. And that was a thoughtful intention. So that's sort of where you all are at right now. And so there's some potential next steps that we'd love to share. And feel free to chime in if anyone has any questions, but I'll maybe turn it over to Kim. Do you mind jumping in on next steps?
No, and I look forward to Sherry's participation if she's so inclined as well. So we just had a conversation about these are really process steps, and in the process there's content as well to all of these. And I want to highlight the word potential. These are tools and resources that you can avail yourselves of to support the implementation of the goals and the installation of the goals of the grant. And the technical assistance from the BEST project and the co-directors, of course, Cassandra and Amy, are well versed in these tools as well. So again, they're potential. And I also, these bullets are not a linear process. These are just resources that you can access. So the DCLT and the MOU, so the district community leadership team is really taking a look at who existing on your teams and who might you invite to your teams that have the authority to repurpose funding, to braid funding, to maybe revisit personnel roles and responsibilities, to really integrate with your partnering designated agency on professional development and taking a look at the various mental health interventions that you're utilizing and how are you ensuring everyone has access to that knowledge, et cetera. And the DCLT is charged with making hard decisions and asking hard questions about how your systems are currently working. So you may already have a team that you're thinking meets the criteria for the DCLT, and you may want to, as you meet with that group, take a look at, again, who's on this team and are we missing anybody on this team? And sometimes the DCLT can get a little messy when you're really talking about hard decisions to make. The MOU is just, we developed a template. I think everyone has had at least access to that template. It's that agreement. How are we going to work together? How do we want to be together? How are we going to achieve these goals together? And what happens when we have those hard conversations and have to ask hard questions? We talk about taking a look at what's currently going on in your SUSD in terms of your initiatives. And when you think about them, how are you measuring them? Who's involved? How do they meet the goals of your district community leadership team? What fidelity measures do you use? What funding streams do you have to support them? How will you leverage funding post the grant to continue some of these initiatives that you're doing or maybe add to? And I know initiative can be a really hard word sometimes because people are like, oh God, initiative weary, I'm initiative fatigue. But this is an opportunity to really examine those, look for duplication, look for gaps, and fill those gaps and eliminate the duplication. The working smarter, not harder matrix is really examining how your teaming is working and trying to ensure that you have considerable efficiency in teaming. I don't know about any of you, but I'll name an I statement here. I have been on teams when I have not been my best or my most efficient, or the function of my behavior is to avoid the task. So I talk about people's new haircuts, or I talk about people's, vacations to Italy or something like that. So it is another tool that you can use if you so choose to help sort of streamline your processes, because we want to be comprehensive but efficient. Take a look at what are your staff currently doing at the leadership level, at the building-based level, and really outline their roles and responsibilities. One of the things we talk about utilization review is a default process that we often use when we have people who are focused on the SEBL supports for students or the mental health supports for students, is that we tend to focus on kids with intensive needs. How do we ensure that we're getting staff into the classrooms? How do we push in rather than always pulling out? How do we strengthen our universal practices and systems to ensure that we're really conducting effective and comprehensive supports and services at the targeted and intensive level? So who's doing what? How are we measuring the efficacy of the services they're providing, again, at the building-based and at the SUSD level? We're looking at what sort of universal screener are you using, and if you're not, what would you want to choose, and what tools? We have, again, lots of tools that you can use that can help you make that determination so that when you screen, you're ready to intervene and that you're really considering parent voice, student voice, community voice in that process. And really looking at what are your goals as an LEA and how can you capitalize on the expertise and resources of your designated agency to support those. Again, whether it's professional learning, whether it's, analyzing the data that your designated agencies have, things like that. And then what are the resources you need? You go through all these processes or some of these processes, you identify gaps. What resources do you need to address and fill those gaps? Cassandra, Amy, Sherry, did I miss anything? Did I talk too much?
No, I guess I just sort of want to overlay that with, as TAs, we're sort of hoping to, just help you navigate a lot of these tools and processes to get to meet your goals. The whole DCLT and the MOU connected with the DCLT is really trying to develop a different way of work. You've been coexisting for a long time as school community partners, but it's really thinking about sort of what are the school community concerns? What are the greatest concerns, and how can we organize as an interagency group of folks to prioritize supports for that? And so it's really a different way of work for all of us. It needs to happen at the state level. It needs to happen at the local level. And so our work is to join you in thinking about those difficult decisions. And the MOU kind of walks you through some questions to help you think about a different way of being organized to support students together. So think of us as just sort of like your friend, I guess, with the hand on the shoulder, but also like willing to pick up where pieces might be kind of faltering, and just sort of help you do some problem solving. I hope that you'll see us as welcome and don't feel like you have to clean your house before we come over, because we're just all part of the process. We've had some experience with other in the first iteration with what's gone well and what's been challenging, and we've received a bunch of training and also are beginning to provide some training. And just an example of what we're doing as a team is you all identified attendance as issues, big concerns on your in your comprehensive needs assessment process and your plan. So we've gathered a lot of resources, and we're going to do a webinar on attendance, and so we're trying to make sure that we provide supports to meet you where you're at and to address your current concerns. That's all.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. And I think just to add to that, Sherry and Kim, I appreciate that. Also thinking about, you'll be hearing from additional project partners. And so how can we help connect the dots with those, really thinking about what is your data telling you, what might you need in terms of professional development based on your goals. And so really, how do we help connect the dots with those other project partners that you'll hear more about? So
yeah, and I think, what can we hold for you? Right? What can we hold for you when you feel like you have too much to hold on to? How can we help? So.
Yeah. So just a couple more, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. So thanks for your patience. Sort of immediate next steps, ideally, many of you who have been on these conversations before, we've mentioned that there's the Summer Institute happening, and that there are funds for you all to send a team. And so if you've been in touch, we're holding spots. We're still holding spots. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. That'll be a great opportunity for you to think about fleshing out, Project Aware, your goals, collaborating with all of you together around this work. But the other next step is to connect with your TA. Make sure you have, you establish a schedule for support. As you know, I'm going to use an I statement, if I don't put things on my calendar immediately, things get pretty busy with my kiddos and different schedules and sports. And so really making sure you're connecting, and our TAs will reach out to get some dates on that. And then finally, Kim had put in the link a DCLT document. It's a really nice overview for those of you who maybe are new or joining, or maybe the newer coordinators who aren't even here yet may want to look back at that resource, but it really gives a nice outline of sort of what the functionality of your district community leadership team, whatever it is that you want to call it. It doesn't have to necessarily be called that, but what is this larger SU entity, and what is the functionality around that? So definitely think about scheduling those as well, because our TAs will be able to support you, not only in, attending and joining, but potential agenda development. So again, what can we hold? What can we do to help support and move you further towards your goals? Again, just a friendly reminder, this is our Summer Institute this year. We'd love for you all to register. I know some of you have reached out with some questions, so feel free to continue to ask us questions. Happy to help with the process. This year, very excited about keynotes. If you haven't heard about our keynotes, we have Trevor Muir coming from Grand Rapids, Michigan, I believe. He has done a lot of really great educator videos, inspirational videos. He created one around, if you Google him, he created several, but one in particular that resonated with me was during COVID, when we were all really retreating into our isolation stations, right? And really having that sense of fear. Anyway, he did a wonderful video around all of the positive things that he's seeing in schools, despite having this overview or overlay of a global pandemic. So he's very exciting. And we also have Rhonda Ness. She's phenomenal. She's part of the national PBIS world. She does a lot around engaging student voice and equity. And so we'll have her. And then, of course, many of you probably know Joelle Van Lent. She's a regular at the Summer Institute, does a lot of trauma-informed work, and is really excited to have her join us again this year. And in particular, we've developed a strand for our Project Aware teams. And so Amy Flamini, if you don't know her, she's fabulous, from Midwest PBIS, and so much more than just PBIS. She's has experience as a clinician, some mental health work. She's done it all, but she'll be facilitating a strand on really how are we making an intentional connection between our public school systems, our mental health communities, designated agencies, and our communities. So how are we building that bridge? So that is the strand. We would certainly encourage you all to attend. It'll be a great opportunity to move your work forward. So without further ado, Robert, great to see you. Sorry you had to head out, but would love to open it up now for any questions or comments or thoughts or anything we may have missed, Laurel or Marianne or Tracy. So the floor is yours, team.
And Cassandra, can we stop sharing the screen so we can just see everyone again?
Thank you guys for that. So we just wanted to give you all sort of an overview of the TA role in Project Aware, and in all of our office hours, we want to open it up to questions that could be about the topic area for while you have these besties here, or it could be about other questions as well around Project Aware. We're all here to support any of the work. Tracy, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to also offer that as you're working with your technical assistance provider, if you're feeling like a disconnect maybe between what we're asking about in the project and other work that the AOE may be asking of you, please let your technical assistance provider know. They're our liaison back to the Agency of Ed, because as we did with the CNA process and your Safe Healthy School goals, we're really trying to not be duplicative or particularly ask you to do two separate things that seem in conflict. So, just especially until we get our coordinator at the agency, we really need your feedback on how we can be supporting you. And as Kim said, maybe taking something off your plate.
Thanks. That's a really good point, Tracy. I think we really do want to make sure that we're tying this work into the work that you all are being asked to do regularly, and making sure that it helps make that work meaningful and that helps make this work more meaningful. So it really is important, and we can try to, pull all the teams together and talk amongst the state folks as much as we can, but there's nothing like getting feedback from the folks who are actually moving through these processes while your plates are full with other things, to help us really understand what this looks like for you and what's helpful and not. So I'm going to open it up to questions if folks have any. Laurel, jump in.
I'm just going to try to grease people's thinking, grease the wheels a little bit. Cassandra, Kim, you were involved in the prior Project Aware. What are some areas that you think those regions really sought out from you all for technical assistance? Like, can you give some examples, and how does that process happen?
I can start. I think one of the things I might differentiate just to start this conversation was that the last iteration was really focused more on building-based supports and systems changes, where this is a change at the broader systems level, which will certainly have an impact on your buildings, and there will probably some building-based discussions as well that will occur as the administrators hopefully are participating in the DCLT. So some examples, and Sherry, you helped a lot over the course of the project too. So jump in as well. So some examples I think were supporting the DCLT and becoming a co-facilitator of that process, looking at the data from perhaps the initiative inventory and helping parse through some of that to develop maybe some action steps. Taking a look at mental health interventions that are being utilized across the SUSD, and developing, again, some processes for looking at that data, looking at access as well as outcome, and designing interventions based on that. Facilitating dialogue between the DA and the leadership team at the SUSD level. And not that those relationships don't exist and may be positive, but I think one of the things that Sherry, you mentioned that is a different way of work, to use the language you used, is that the integration of the designated agency resources and expertise with the SUSD will be, I think, more intentional and maybe even more comprehensive than it has in the past. So sometimes the technical assistant would come be the outsider coming in and looking at that work with you and providing some more objective feedback about how that's working, and really celebrating, of course, the strengths, but also looking at areas of focus. So when I think about my role over the years is providing PBS coaching support, and I think about the role of a technical assistance, one of the, I guess, similarities that I would say is that, again, sometimes someone coming who's not as integrally involved in your system and your teams, coming in and observing and noticing, and then naming some of the, again, strengths and celebrations and some areas of focus can be really, really useful. We don't drive the work, you drive our work, I guess, is a way that I might say that. And so, what did you say, Sherry? We'll have like our hand on your shoulder. We're there to support you, and we want you to be empowered to tell us what you need, but also be able to offer ideas and suggestions. So, inviting us into some of your meetings, even if we're just that, guide on the side, not that sage on the stage, to observe and, as I said, to notice. And then maybe have some debriefing afterward. I don't know. I hope that was the grease you were looking for, Laurel. Sherry, you always have such wise things to add. What would you add to that?
No, I thought that was a really good list. And just sort of following with this idea of, some people don't like this term, but the way of work is we're thinking a lot about how do we utilize our mental health expertise across the system. And that, so there's actually a tool that is useful in thinking about, do we have mental health capacity, either, people capacity or thinking capacity at all parts of our system at the universal level, and then for students who need more, both at the systems level and at the practice. So how are we utilizing the mental health expertise either from the DA or within the school and the DA to really support well-being and mental health intervention? So it's another piece of work that the TA can help the DCLTs think through.
Yeah, I think adding to that, Sherry, is just that boy, I'm sorry, that thought bubble just went over there. I'll catch it and I'll come back to it.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, and I'll text you all then, because I'm sure that's when you want to hear from me. Thanks, Sherry.
I think too, one of the things that I have been having conversations with LEAs and DAs about is the MOU process, and just, I know there's dates that are linked to all of these things in the agreements, but really the MOU is a more fluid process than that. And I think it's also an evolving process, and I imagine it will shift and change, just like, creating your DCLT. The members of that will likely evolve over time as different needs pop up for your region, and you think about different organizations that you need representation from or want to share data with, and have in the conversation. So I just want to put out there that those are not hard dates around that, and that there is more flexibility around it. And if it helps your process to begin that conversation and then move to other parts and come back to it, that's completely fine.
My thought bubble came back. Do you mind if I bubble it out
I was
there?
just buying you time,
it's just,
really.
I was just thinking too, Sherry, as you were talking about, ways of work. We also use language called problems of practice, which it's probably more alliterative than anything else, but it's a really good way of thinking about, again, I'll use another I statement. I sometimes get stuck in the status quo. I've done things the same way for a long time. I've been in the mental health field a long time. And so when someone else comes in and asks me with curiosity, like I'm curious as to the logic behind that decision you just made, or that practice you have, or that policy, it's a great way for me to push the pause button and think about it. And I think that's part of our process too, is just to understand that sustainable change requires system change, and systems can get really stuck. And I'll speak for myself again. I work for NFI Vermont, and our systems sometimes get really stuck because we're just used to doing certain things certain ways. And we really value, one of the things we do is we have quite a few interns this year, MSW, Masters in Social Work interns, and they come in and they say, why do you do it that way? We're like, that is such a good question, right? So I just think of utilizing us in that way too, and not to be at all intrusive, but again, just to be walking with you through this journey.
Tracy, jump in.
I just wanted to share that the Vermont MTSS team, systems level work is what we do. So that's why we're also engaged in this process. And so Kim, when you were speaking about both the goal of this grant this time is systems level and your expertise in that, like there may be areas where we can join in that work. That's our hope. And that, the system change takes a long time. Often we can get frustrated because we're not seeing enough progress soon enough. And so that's why we really value the continuous improvement process that's embedded in your CIPs, your continuous improvement plans. It's just, I don't know, I'm just very excited for this opportunity. And yeah, I don't know. Systems work, hard work, long-term work, worth the effort.
I do think somebody had made a suggestion in one of the previous office hours that we could bring in one of the past Project Aware grantees, one of the regions, and just hear from them. And so in terms of sort of highlighting that long-term work, Tracy, that you're talking about, and our long-term sort of progress and the work that is involved, once we get through having our partner organizations come in and introduce themselves and talk about the work, then I think that would be really great too, just for a little perspective. What are other thoughts that folks are having? Any questions around the grant in general, or around your MOU process, or connecting with your TA, or creating the DCLT? Do folks feel like those are moving well? Noreen.
So, thank you. So I have a person who works for NKHS, and she's sort of our grant manager person, and she's really on top of things. And she said that she was a little anxious about the first quarter report for this. So can you give us a little, hopefully, something that's going to help reduce our anxiety about that first quarter report, please?
We are in the process of finalizing our invoice template for you all to use. Yeah, I know it's a little bit challenging because we are also developing stuff on our end at the same time that that the timelines are coming up and that you guys are feeling a crunch there. So once we get this process finalized and together, and I can send it out to you, then it will be, that'll just exist, and we won't have to wait again in the same way. But that should be coming out shortly. And in terms of reporting data, that will be WestEd will be contacting you all and collecting that. And will have a process together as well, which they are also in the final stages of developing. So I totally get the anxiety because these things haven't finished being created yet, and the due date's coming up. So for folks who do not do the last minute crunch, we are pushing that comfort zone for sure, but it's coming.
Okay, so right now we just need to hang tight and wait.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Lindsay, jump in.
So I don't necessarily have a question, but I did want to share that I am I'm feeling a lot better about the process after having had the opportunity to finally meet with our TA. And I think Ken and I met like 3 times last week, just in different, we had our initial, and then we had our regular monthly meeting. And then Mariana, you and I and Ken met. So that really helped. So I just wanted to kind of reinforce that I really appreciate that, but I also very much appreciate these office hours, because a lot of the things that I'm thinking about, you guys seem to be addressing, like systematically. Go figure. Like that's what you all do. So thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, and that this is very helpful and helps me feel better about where we're going.
Great, Lindsay. Thank you so much. I think that feel like the first Project Aware we did, this was my first sort of introduction to systems work. So it was a lot to digest and understand. And I feel like you have to hear this stuff multiple times in different iterations and then come across it and be like, wait, did I hear about that? And then hear about it again to really, for me, that's what really helped me understand it. So yeah, your TAs will be invaluable to you all, and we are definitely here to sit on the phone and chat about it and answer questions as they come up. Laurel, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm going to comment on that and then go back to Noreen's question. Lindsay, I think it'll also be great once you have a peer group of other coordinators. So it sounds like they're coming online. And our hope is to then start to get some time for all the coordinators to be connecting with each other. So that'll be helpful too. Noreen, back to your reporting question, and this might hold true for the others also. We are working with our evaluator to set up what that process will be for the reporting from the regions. We know that these first months and quarters are really slow. There's not a lot of universal screening that's happening. Our focus is collecting information about the new agreements that have been put in place. And for this quarter reporting, it's primarily the agreements between the state and all of you entities. Once you form an MOU between, as part of your DCLT work between the LEA and the DA, that's something that we can report on. But our evaluator, WestEd, they're going to be setting up a process and templates of how do you do that type of reporting. So that will be coming. We'll have some meetings with them and you all to understand that. In the grant agreements, there's also a piece of reporting around where are you in your process to hire your coordinator. And so that is something to submit to us. Like, when was it posted? Have you started interviews? Like, where are you in that? Just because we want to be able to, we have regular check-in meetings with SAMHSA, our project officer at the federal level, and they are wondering, where are these things? I don't know if Marianne told you this, and I think maybe in individual conversations we've had this, but somehow the feds thought that we would fill those positions back in like October. And we just laughed at them and said, are you kidding? We have to submit, at least for the LEA coordinators and the state coordinator positions, we have to submit your details and information for their approval of the people who are filling those roles. So they just want to know, where are we in that process, and know that we're doing our due diligence to fill them. We're not just hanging out and doing nothing. So I hope that answers, Noreen, around reporting requirements.
Yeah, so it sounds like we'll wait for the WestEd folks to contact us for some of it, but then other of it, we can certainly provide an update on the hiring of the consultant. That's
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Laurel, I can just say from Danielle, that makes me feel a lot better. So
okay.
Very interesting as well. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for that, Laurel. I had forgotten about that detail that we that this first quarter reporting was really, it's mostly the state reporting about all the agreements that we've created with you. So that is accurate. And thanks for that detail. Kim, I see you, and then Mark.
Thanks. Yeah, so just a couple things to build on what you said, Lindsay. Thank you for that feedback. That's really great to hear that your communication with Ken is being helpful. And Laurel, to something you said about the coordinators. So one of the difference between this round and last round is we had 3 coordinators they were the LEA Project Aware coordinators. We didn't have the designated agencies didn't have a project coordinator, nor did DMH. So there's more coordinators this year. And one of the technical assistance pieces that was provided last time is we had meetings with the coordinators regularly. And part of that was to establish a peer group, because your role, Lindsay, is somewhat unique to this grant. Part of that was to provide some professional learning around nuances of the grant. And part of it was to allow for people just to kind of utilize that peer group for Q&A, for technical assistance from those actually doing the work. So again, Laura, I think, once everyone is hired, it would be great whether that's the role of us as the TAs from the BEST project, or if that's the role of DMH or AOE, whatever, that I think, Lindsay, again, to your point, that will also help with that sort of uniqueness of your role and your colleagues in that role.
Thanks, Kim. Mark, what is
Yeah,
yours?
just, where Laurel just mentioned that SAMHSA's looking at the resume of the person that I hired. Is there any chance they're going to come back and say you can't have that person?
I have never seen that happen in my time here with federal grants. I think they just want to see that there is a connection between that person, their experience, and the role itself. But I've never had that happen. And if there are questions, I think we can provide rationale for why that person was selected. And we'd be looking back to you all to help provide that, because we know you also want to have someone in that role who's going to do a good job. And so we'll make the case for why that person was identified. It feels kind of like a check the box type thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm familiar with that aspect of federal grant funding. I just wasn't sure if it was in that category or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And Mark, I don't know if it helps, but we had 3 project to work coordinators, all had very, very different backgrounds, and one participating SU had multiple people came into the position and then had to leave, and so someone else would come in with a very different background. So I don't know SAMHSA well enough to be confident enough to say it's a check the box, but I would concur, Laurel. It's like, good, you've got someone, and they meet the cultural context of your SU, right, to make sure that they're a good match for you as well.
It's exciting that so many folks are getting these positions filled, and that they're you're getting interest and moving through the interview process. This is always the hardest part. So I feel like once we get these, systems established, and once we like the reporting and the and get people in place, I feel excited. We'll be able to really like steam ahead, and in a way that I don't think we got to do in the previous AWARE. So I'm really looking forward to that. Lindsay, is your hand up from before, or do you have another question?
Whoops, sorry.
No problem. I'm the queen of doing that. It is 2 minutes until noon, and I just want to be respectful of folks' time. If there's any other pressing questions, now is the time. And otherwise, our next meeting will be, our next office hours will be next Tuesday, and we will have 2 of our partnering organizations come and talk about their role in the project and the scope that they bring to the work that they do. And we will send out, and I'll add it to the invitation, just like I did on this one only this morning, who those 2 are once we have them completely finalized. We're just trying to juggle everybody's schedule. So Tracy, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, not that I can think of. I was just going to put something in chat just to thank folks for joining us today, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
Yeah, Tracy and I are here anytime, so please contact us, and we really can hop on the phone, or just try to answer some questions, or just try to work through some of the vastness of this work a little bit, try to narrow things down. So thank you all for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.